Hi, my name is Damon Brown of DamonBrown.net. My main thing is helping you as a side hustler, a solopreneur, or otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. Today we're going to talk about what leaders get wrong about vulnerability. We're going to talk to the queen of vulnerability, Brene Brown, and she was actually talking to Adam Grant, who's a prolific author, a fellow TED speaker. Actually, they're both fellow TED speakers, but on a whole big level. And they were having a conversation on his podcast called Taken for Granted, pun intended. And this really struck me as far as what we get wrong with vulnerability. That is such a big buzzword now, but how exactly are you vulnerable and a leader at the same time? I love this quote from her. Vulnerability minus boundaries is not vulnerability. Are you sharing your emotions, your experiences to move work, connection, a relationship forward? Or are you working your shit out with somebody? And work is not the place to do that, right? Powerful stuff. I think it breaks down to two basic principles. First of all, what is the purpose of you expressing yourself in this way? To what end? What end are you trying to get to? If you're talking to one of your investors, say you have a startup and you're talking to one of your investors and you're saying, everything's going to crap and I'm having an awful time here and I feel like giving up. This is the person that gave you like $1 million for your startup when, maybe a few months ago, you're completely confident that you can pull it off, right? We sometimes view that as vulnerability, but as she's saying, that's not. Like, to what end? What are they supposed to do with that? Which is one of my favorite sayings. When people kind of emotionally dump, which is what I call it, on people, particularly on me, I'm like, what do you want me to do with that? To what end, right? Now, some of y'all have coached with me, and whether I'm writing in a book, well, I am talking with the audiobook, but I'm writing in my new book, Built From Now. There's a lot of vulnerable moments in here, a lot of honesty. It was a tough book to write as far as being, again, that vulnerable. Ditto for Bring Your Worth, or if you've had me as a coaching client. And if you've had me as a coaching client, I do one-on-one coaching. You know that we sometimes can go all over the place. And it could be a funny coaching session, or it could be quite sad. I've actually cried with my clients when they were having a really tough time because that was the level of sympathy and empathy. But with my clients, that actually is a very conscious process. I'm not telling them how bad my day is. I can say, yeah, it's a long day, but I'd love to hear what's going on with you. But that's where it stops, because it's not about me, it's about them. So the times when I have become emotional with my clients, it's for them to understand that I empathize and sympathize with the situation. One of the reasons why I became a coach is because I've been in a lot of different business and personal situations. So I do have a lot of empathy because I've been in a lot of situations. I have enough to give. So I can relate to some of the pain that they're going through. And if I'm sharing some of my personal stuff, as far as from a business standpoint or a little bit of the personal, it's to let them know that what they're going through isn't extraordinary, that they are human. And as Brene said in some of her books, the main reason why we feel a level of loneliness or feel isolated or afraid to become vulnerable is because we feel like our feelings are unique and no one else has felt that before. So if I'm sharing what I've gone through that's similar to what my clients have gone through, then it becomes a level of bonding, identification. They recognize me, I'm showing that I'm seeing them for who they are. That is very different than just doing an emotional diarrhea to the first person that you meet, because it's to what end? Now, we're not talking about the average person, we're talking about leaders. So if you're going to lead, you lead by example, which I have a really good conversation about Mr. Rogers, out of all people, who had an excellent example about this. I'll be sure and give a link in there. But there's also that level of modeling. That's the word I'm looking for, a level of modeling with it. But there's also a level of building that trust. And part of being a leader is being stable, and doing emotional explosions isn't quite the way to do that. Now, we're not always going to be perfect about it. I've definitely tripped up on that. But at least thinking, if I'm going to have this emotional expression, particularly in this type of forum, like say during a board meeting or whatever, to what end? Why am I doing that? Is this the forum? What's going to be the result of that? Lots of little details there that become part of what we would call emotional intelligence. Number two, who are you sharing it with? And is this who you want to share it with? Is that the question? What often happens is that we have deep emotional things and then we're not comfortable addressing them as they come up. And then the second layer of that is that we don't always allow ourselves to address them by setting up the proper group or people or individuals who will listen and support those ideas. It could be a spouse or a partner. It could be friends or a group of friends. It could be what I call a brain trust, which are a group of people that you trust and that love you and know your intentions and want you to succeed. That's what I call a brain trust. I've had a similar brain trust. People have gone in and out of it, but for decades. So they know exactly where I've been. They know where I'm going. They know what I want to do, and they keep me straight. And if I'm going through tough emotional stuff, I can express it to them, or I can express it to another group or another individual. So I try to mix it up and have that. If you don't have that or don't allow that vulnerability to happen in appropriate settings, or even a therapist or a coach, there's nothing wrong with that. I've had both. They're all good. If you do not have those pathways, you're just gonna be, those emotions don't go away. You know, to paraphrase Carl Jung, if you don't express those emotions, then they're kind of just hiding in the proverbial basement. And then when they come out, they're gonna come out at the wrong time, and they're gonna be much uglier and bigger than you actually felt before. And that's gonna come out at the wrong time. So you really have to think about, who are you sharing them with? Is this appropriate? Who is this person? Often, and I saw this quote recently, where we often say, I have a big heart. But maybe you don't have a big heart as far as wanting to keep it on your sleeve. Maybe you don't have good boundaries, right? I'm a very sensitive person, but y'all don't know all my stuff. And that's on purpose. And I've done a bunch of videos of this. I've done 25 books. You still don't know everything. But there are people in my life that do know most, if not everything. That's called being selective and setting up boundaries, even for someone who tries to be as open as myself, to show you my journey so I can help you on your journey. But everything requires boundaries. Things without boundaries, that's just chaos. I think Brene hits the nail right on the head. If you want more insight into the resources and the businesses that you can create, or resources for your businesses that you can create, I'm tongue-tied today, be sure to come by buildfromnowquiz.com. I told you, that tongue is going. Buildfromnowquiz.com. So it's my new book, Build From Now, how to know your power, see your abundance, and nourish the world. I swear I spent a year writing the book. I do know the title of it. If you go to buildfromnowquiz.com, you'll get a free quiz. It takes literally 2 minutes, multiple choice. We're approaching 1,000 people taking it. I'm really excited about that. You have no obligation to come through there, whatever, or to do anything after that. But I want to give you the tools and resources so you know your biggest resource right now, so you make the biggest impact in the world. All right, enough tongue-tiedness. Remember that you can always bring your worth and that you can always build from now. Take care.